start on the presentation. We appreciate your patience and joining this afternoon for our webinar. Give it about another minute. Okay, I think we can go ahead and start. Like I said, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're connecting from. Welcome to Crossvale's Next Gen Banking Platform webinar. Let me get to our agenda that we're going to cover today. So we're going to go through introductions of who's presenting today, and then we'll walk through some of the challenges that we see customers typically face. We'll give you a solution overview, and why is that different from approaches that companies go through, and then next steps. Before I begin, I want to just kind of walk through logistics. This will be recorded. We will send out the slide deck and recording link afterwards. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat. One of the things also, if you just go on mute, and that way we won't have any interference. Lastly, I'd like to thank Red Hat and the continued partnership with Crossvale. With that, I'll go through introductions. My name is Mike Cohorst. I'm the Director of Sales for North America. I've been at Crossvale for 3 years. Prior to that, I was at Red Hat as an enterprise account executive. And on the call with me, I'll let Jose introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. This is Jose Alonso. I'm Crossvale CTO. I've been with Crossvale for a long while now. I have been also the architect behind a big part of the solution that we will be presenting today. And I have a few slides later, but please, Mike, go ahead, do the first part.
Okay. All right. Go to the next slide here. All right, so I'll kind of walk through who Crossvale is and some of the accolades that we have. Crossvale's been around for 22, 23 years. Our headquarters is out of Dallas, Texas. We were founded as a software development company and have evolved over the years. So that's the basis for some of our background. We also have offices in the UK. Our managed service practice is out of Spain. As you can see, we are aligned with Red Hat. We've been Partner of the Year for the last 4 years. We're part of the Premier Partner Program at Red Hat. We're also a Microsoft Gold Partner, and we're certified in all the 3 major clouds as well. So, and then we list a few of our fintech references that we've provided this solution at, so you can see that. All right, this is just one of our passion statements, right? So we've been doing this for quite a while, and so our vision is providing innovative and tailored solutions, and are leveling the playing field and helping customers reach their full potential, enable them to rise above, compete, and leave a lasting mark in their industry. So really, with our expertise, we like to come in and figure out where you're at and provide some insights into our what we've done in the industry, and we'll walk through this, and this will help provide a path for you guys to move forward with. With that, I think we'll go into some of the challenges, and Jose will be presenting this part of the slide deck.
Well, when we have, as Mike was saying, we have been engaged with multiple banks through the last 20 years. And we have seen that there are some commonality that have been happening for a long time, and there are some accelerators that are coming later that are really challenging the way banks operate today. When I say operate, not really much on the operations by itself, but how do we create new solutions? How do we serve our customers? How do we gain new customers? What is our cost of acquisition and things of that nature? The bank, the way it has been working for the last 100 years, was that we had a brick and mortar station where people were coming in and we were doing business in that location. Over time, the connectivity of those customers have increased, and so have the channels that the bank has to communicate with those customers. But with those new channels, there is new competitors. There are these fintechs companies that are coming, that there is less barriers for our customers to move from one bank to another. The services are getting closer. They are getting more commoditized. A deposits account is a deposits account. A loan is a loan. And the competition strive for excellence in the customer experience. So that creates on top of that, also the way the customers are interacting with our services is also changing. There is no 9 to 5 anymore. It's always connected, it's always demanding, it's always using something or another. And that creates a friction with some of our traditional departments in the bank. If we go to the next slide, Mike. So while traditionally the banks, at least the banks that we have been working with, had a bank-centric or account-centric approach, where everything was the bank and then the customer existed in multiple places. The new strategy of having the customer as the center, and now everything else is surround the customer. It moves those silos of information in a way that allows us to collaborate across the different business units to serve that customer in the best way possible. Increase cross sales, increase service, increase the experience of that customer with us at the end of the day. In traditional banks, when we are trying to do this, and we have been trying to do this for a while now, the cost for each one of our customers keeps growing. And as I was saying, with the change in the behavior of those customers, that increases our cost as well. While before we used to have a very few disputes because they were processing checks, now disputes is a massive process because we are processing a lot of credit card payments, a lot of card uses, a lot of ATM, a lot of those type of services that tend to create a lot of a heavier load on our backend, on our operations. One of the approaches that we take is to look at this as an opportunity to improve. When we are improving our cost, we are also improving their experience. We are going to try to target those two things at the same time. Can you go to the next slide, Mike, please? So when we are doing development in a bank today, well, let's say that we want to fix all these solutions, but we find ourselves in a scenario where the bank may have not adopted some of the new frameworks, may have not adopted new strategies for development, new strategies for deployments, and we are still in once a quarter or maybe once a month if we are lucky, release cycles. We are still working with a mix of waterfall and agile methodologies that is not really clear, very hard to understand what is in each release. And when one release doesn't go out, it starts to get very complicated to move. So those are problems that have an impact on the other problems. Because when a customer has something that doesn't work and they report it, their experience is that they have their applications are always updating. So you go to an iPhone or an Android and then you report a bug on something, by the next week you have a solution. And that's the new standard. They don't accept anything else than that. Either you have that or they complain about it, or they are dissatisfied about it, or they look at a competitor because their experience in their competitor is a little bit better. So if we go to the next, because with all of this, what we create is what are the pillars that we are going to use for our solution. Go to the next slide, please. So what are the goals? What are we trying to achieve with this solution? One, we want to be able to create personalized interaction and enhancement of digital capabilities. While we have a good experience and good knowledge about how to treat customers in the branch, our digital experience has not evolved as much as our in-branch strategy. But we have an advantage over purely digital banks when we have branches. So we should use those branches as well. So the branch to digital transition is great when we have it. It allows us to connect to the customer in better ways than only just digital, just through online or only through faceless channels. When you have a faced channel like a branch, it allows you to create a trust with that customer that otherwise it takes longer and it takes a higher cost to create. The cost of acquisition without branches might be higher than with branches. Meaning the digital cost. I mean, all of this, and as I was saying, that behavioral change is creating challenges in our back office processes. And that is something that we want to address as well as part of this solution, is allowing the banks to be able to process things in a more streamlined way. Things that can be automatic, can be automatically resolved, either using automated task, AI, or just manual labor, but with very discrete SLAs that everybody understands and with a process that everybody knows how to resolve it. Everything with a self-service portal where the customer can go, check what the status is, and our back office process can work on them. And lastly, but not less important, if you have been in the banking industry for any amount of time, one of the things that you have seen and experienced is the amount of changes that come with compliance and the little amount of time that we have to react when those changes happen. So with this type of solution, we are able to tackle those changes very quickly. By default, when we deploy, it's all compliant. But then as compliance changes, being compliant is not that difficult because you know the regulation and you build a solution. Staying compliant is very challenging because compliance changes every time. It changes constantly. So let's go to the next slide, please. When we built this solution, we had those goals in mind and we had a clear target. We want to be able to go fast to the market. We want to be able to have reliable applications, reliable processes, and be very clear about what we are doing and how is it running. And on top of that, it has to be secure. So we build it based on OpenShift. OpenShift is the platform that we are going to run on. OpenShift is a Kubernetes distribution, and in our opinion, is the best Kubernetes distribution. It's coming from Red Hat, it's enterprise ready. That is a massive difference. And it can run anywhere. It can run on premise, so you don't have to use cloud to be able to run OpenShift. It can also run in the cloud if you prefer that. It can run on bare metal, it can run on VMware, it can run on many different infrastructures. From a processes perspective, we embrace Agile, we embrace automation via DevOps and GitOps. And that's how we ensure that everything that we build is secure. We don't rely on individual validation. We go to the processes. And on the last side, what we did is once we have the platform that is great and is compliant, I don't have a solution yet. So we built these pre-built accelerators that have, by like on day one, can give you access to functionality that we have seen that is required or needed in all the customers that we have been. This collection is ever growing since that we did this deck to today. It has grown. We have more adapters, and we will see what that means. We have more processes, we have more events, we have more of each one of them. As we go over time, that collection keeps growing, and there is a bigger catalog that is available when you decide to use it, if you decide to use it. Let's go to the next slide, please, Mike. So what is this next-gen banking platform? What do I get when I buy it? We build it to make sure that we could satisfy the needs of our current and past customers. So there is a set of pre-built accelerators, and there is a set of customization. So on the pre-built accelerators, we have things like the standards, the platform, the data models, the GitOps automation, the dashboards, storage and business continuity plans, the DevOps processes, and the ITSM integration, and all of that. And all of that is great. But you may think, well, my company works in a very specific way. Well, that's where the customization comes into play. How do we connect to your data centers? How do we connect to your third parties? How do we connect to an external API manager if you have one? If you don't have one, do I need to bring one? How do we create dashboards and KPIs that are relevant to your business? What are your goals that you're trying to achieve so we can create those dashboards for you? We have capabilities to create things on top of what we have that are quite easy and very rapid for delivery, and things that are pre-built. So day one, we can go deploy, enter your credentials to connect to your third parties, and you are done. You are connected. What do I mean by that? Let's go to the next slide and we will see. Well, before we get to that, one thing. Sorry, I forgot this slide. So a project traditionally, the way it looks is something like this. We first meet with the customer and we define what is the destination. Destination has a very ample meaning. Here, what we really want to understand is the goals of the company. It's not the same when we are working with a bank that is doing M&A, that is acquiring other banks, and they want to be ready for the next bank. How do I prepare myself for what is coming? When we are working with another bank that is trying to reduce the operational cost. I have already done all my M&A and I want to sit and I want to improve my profitability. So by defining that destination, it allows us to build everything else accordingly to that. After that, we do a platform build. We build the OpenShift platform, we build the processes, and we do the integration. Integration meaning that we will integrate into your network hub, we will integrate with your third parties, we will integrate with your core banking, we will integrate with anything that would provide data into the platform. We implement the agile processes for release management, for DevOps. We integrate with your ITSM, with your ServiceNow, you have it. If you don't have it, we will show you ways that you can control releases and you can control changes. And then we go into the app modernization. This process looks linear, but it's not really linear. There are tasks of this stage that are happening before. We don't need to complete one to start another. But once we move into app modernization, everything else is really complete. By the time we are done with that, then we are enabling also advanced services. Things like AI or ML. Now we have access to all our data. The data is structured. We have ways to deploy AI processes. We have ways to communicate with social networks. We have ways to create event-driven functions or streams that we want to connect to third parties, either as a consumer or as a provider. So we are enabling all of these things through these steps in the process. Let's go to the next slide, please. So what are the pre-built accelerators that we have been referring to? On the slide, we have a few of the banking providers that we commonly find across the banking industry. We have TSYS, FIS, Black Knight, First Data, Temenos as core banking systems, what we call core banking. And those is what we also call them system of records. They own the records that we put in there. On the bottom, we have the channels. They don't have information. Even if they keep information, they are not the owners of that information. And then to connect them from to back, what we build is an integration platform. You probably have one. So why is it different? What are we doing that is different than that? Well, by default, we come with things that are pre-built. You don't have to spend time connecting to TSYS or FIS or First Data because we have connected to them already. All we need is your password, your user, your channel, your credentials, your certificates, your encryption keys, and then you are connected. When I say we need, this runs in your infrastructures. So I'm not running this anywhere else. I can host it if you want, but most banks, at least until now, they are running, all of these instances are running in customers' infrastructures. The connectivity then goes, I want to connect to TSYS, and I have a type of service that we call bridge. That bridge acts as a proxy. It encapsulates all the connectivity details that I need to connect to TSYS. Either if I'm connecting to the API, to the MQ, to a socket, or to the traditional XML queue that TSYS has. If I'm connecting to FIS, I can connect to the Code Connect, I can connect to a host bridge, I can connect to anything that I need. And all of those bridges isolate me from that complexity. I drop the bridge and now I'm connected. The atomics will map to individual operations. So we have atomics to call TSYS to place an authorization, to create a payment, to get account details, every service that we may need that has access to TSYS or FIS. And then we have the orchestrator that aggregate all of that and then may aggregate more than one operation and can translate into a different data model to expose it into an API. So for instance, when Pfizer wants to connect to TSYS or Pfizer wants to connect to FIS, Pfizer doesn't want to change their data model, and they usually don't. So what we do is to expose an API that is tailored to their data model because they don't change. We have other channels like Q2 that are more flexible in that, and we can share our data model and they can consume it. We have channels like Genesis that are also more flexible, so they allow for you to provide an API for them. And you get all of these out of the box. Beside the services, you get the automation that we mentioned, you get queues and streams, so you can enqueue messages. For instance, if you connect to ACI, that is a queue-based system, or you connect to certain things that you need to expose queues, you would have that ability, all included in the platform. We have streams, we have Kafka, we have files to be able to connect and pick up a file, process, and then execute something, like type of a batch process, but more for a batch that needs to integrate to different third parties. So imagine that you need a batch that need to connect to Genesis to extract conversations and then send them into an AI operation that is going to go into a model to learn about engagement. We have sockets, we have DevOps. All of this is released via DevOps. And of course, all of this is supported via 24/7 operations. We provide the support in case you want it. If you want to provide the support, you can, by all means. And if you go to the next slide. So in some cases, we go to customers that require something that we don't have. And we treat this as an open box. We don't treat this as a black box. We show you everything that is inside, and we teach you how to create new of these components. So I bring Temenos, for instance, and imagine that we don't have that bridge. Well, you can ask us to build it for you, or you can build it yourself. Same thing on atomics, same thing on orchestrators, same thing on other things. The ITSM, for instance, each integration is going to be different because each company works different. So some companies have ITSM that does auto resolution of issues, some others don't. So that is what the pre-built accelerators are. Again, this catalog keeps growing, and to deploy this, we have the deployment method. If you are familiar with OpenShift, we don't have to build OpenShift if you have it already. So if you have OpenShift and you choose, I want to use this, we have an operator that is right now is going through the motion of getting it Red Hat approved to be able to be in the Red Hat catalog. But if you want to use it, we have an operator that we can give you a key, and then you can download, you can select which components you want, and then it download them into your cluster, and you can continue. Oh, can you go to the next slide, Mike? Please. So to sum up what I was saying about our solution, we have the platform, we have the build, but we also maintain the platform. We have the workload, we have the solutions. All of it we build and we maintain. When you decide to choose to run our next-gen banking platform, you will get updates of those components as changes happen. Regulatory changes happen, security changes happen. You will get those upgrades automatically. When you choose to use us to maintain your platform, we will install those for you automatically. As soon as they become available, they roll out of the release cycle and they go into your cluster. So your cluster is always compliant. Your solutions are always compliant. As I said, that was our first goal, one of the first and primary goals, and this is how we implement it. Let's go to the next slide, Mike.
Well, just a real comment, a quick comment on this. So this, what we're seeing right now is this, what we refer to as our pod ops or day two management. So this really came out of, because of the speed of getting teams up to speed on not only the infrastructure and the developers. We have where we talk about platform confidence, and that's more or less the cluster maintenance, and then the workload excellence is also performance tuning, helping bring new applications on to give you the confidence to maintain, or that we're maintaining this platform for you. So that's really the different components and pieces, and then the outcome is this acceleration of adopting faster workloads. Go here. Okay, why is this different? And this is, you will kind of emphasize where our expertise is. As we mentioned, we've been doing this for quite a while. And so we have a proven track record in the banking industry. We're able to take what we've learned from our managed service of all of our different customers and bring that to the table with our expertise, knowing that every installation is different. And so that's where the customization, giving you the ability to, hear our pros and cons, but also adapting to how you want to implement it. So that's that customization piece. And then the next gen platform, building out that infrastructure to allow you guys to consume what you need and when you need it. So the outcome is basically faster adoption and realization of this innovation. Okay, as I mentioned, the two different components of our pod ops, we have the platform confidence piece, and really is that, having more or less the cluster maintenance. We're providing, the patching, tying into your ITSM to do change orders and adhere to that. And this basically helps accelerate the team. The team is highly involved in, we have RACI charts to show where your team is implemented into the decision. Like if we do a patch, how they test the patch, and then it goes back to us to implement the patch. and then goes back to your team to validate the patch works. So, I mean, your team is still implemented into these processes, not only on the infrastructure side, but also on the application side. Some of the value is the pre-designed solution, as Jose mentioned, to continue and monitor it and do the cluster, the performance tuning to allow the platform maybe to scale up, to scale down, to notify your dev team of any errors that we're seeing so we can be proactive. And it just gives you the flexibility for faster adoption. As we mentioned, we've been doing this a while. So by taking the conglomerate of stuff that we've deployed and putting it into, as Jose mentioned, operators, that allows us to accelerate the learning curve and also gets you to a faster state realization. We have the pre-canned solutions, but we also talked about the flexibility of bringing on new things that aren't accounted for. And we'll do that through a collaborative discovery session with your teams. And it's it's difficulty retaining that knowledge, but leveraging our team who has gone through a lot of these integrations is where the benefit on the knowledge aspect goes. The cost side of things, because we do this at scale, we're allowed to drive out costs through our managed service. It's very cost effective. And we size it accordingly to your environment. But typically, what we see is it's roughly around 1 FTE to provide this 24/7, 365-day managed service. And again, as Jose mentioned, you can decide to do this yourself. But what we see a lot, because of the speed of which companies want to move, they tend to go with our day 2 managed service. The other thing with our managed service piece, since we're a certified cloud solution provider, we can bring CCSP subs, which allows you to scale up and down easily. That's another benefit of using our PodOps service. This is just the kind of the value of what we, the value prop of using our day 2 managed service. Obviously, reduce the time to get you to utilize the environment, reduce the time to start, since a lot of this is pre-canned, and then just mapping out the integrations to your specific applications. We remove the risk for failure, or reduce that with our proven practice that we've implemented at many banks and financial institutions. It also gives you the flexibility to not have vendor lock-in with this approach. And lastly, just reduce the stress so that your teams aren't on the hook for this 24/7 and leveraging our day 2 PodOps service. As we tried to encompass a complete solution, it's custom to your environment. It has pre-built components to allow faster adoption, and then obviously the operational size, with the day 2 support. Again, this can run on premise, in the cloud. It can utilize bare metal. We have a lot of customers with a lot of large data, and they want it to run in their data center close to where the data resides. So we see a lot of adoption in that realm. And that's that whole, understanding what your needs are and how you want to deploy. Having that hybrid approach, you could be in a cloud on premise and having a DR strategy across that. We have expertise in that as well, with many examples of customers where we've done that. So that's the customization that we bring to the table. Jose, anything that I missed on any of these slides that you want to emphasize as well?
Yeah, one thing that I want to make sure that we send that message across is that sometimes you see these solutions and you see so many changes coming in at once. And what I want to make sure is that you understand that we have done this many, many times before. And we are here to help you adopt these changes in a way that works for you, works for your time, for your goals, and work for your infrastructure. We have built this on many different companies, big and small, and they are all happy with the solutions. We have right now 100% customer retention on this. Everybody who has tried it has stayed with us. And I think that's a good testament of the service that we provide. And we'll be glad to have a conversation with you where we explain more in details about this, about installation times, about time to value, about confidence in the platform, etc. It's in my experience, it has been a massive improvement over the services that we used to deliver, where we had to start from scratch every time. And like banks have always had this challenge. Sometimes they have approached them in a way that it was more custom made, like more ad hoc. And what we are proposing is to go more of a generic road where we can add customization, but you base your customization on top of an existing core, so you don't have to maintain everything.
All right. And this is a slide just on, a lot of companies are analysis paralysis notion, in a sense. If you wait, your competitors will provide these services. The speed to change in the market in this customer experience, there's a lot of options. So in order to keep up with the technology, this is a way to, if you're considering some of this and want to move quickly, this is an approach that we've seen work very well at adopting new technology. And so just, looking at, by waiting, you're going to increase your technical debt. I know there's a lot of conversations right now with the whole VMware. We're seeing quite a bit of movement with that. Companies are looking to see where those workloads are going to be maintained, refactoring applications. So that's a huge reason, just increase technical debt. By waiting, you're going to increase your operational costs. If you're continuing to experience, trying to adopt various container platforms by yourself, it's going to maybe take longer to see the value of that. We're seeing a lot of COTS application that are now requiring containerization. So basically, having a platform and a solid plan to adopt those. We're working with quite a few companies around that. So that just, stresses like the speed to move quickly. Also, by waiting, you're reducing your competitiveness. And one that we see quite a bit is increased security risk, right? So being in compliance with your security team, when you have a platform and you have the controls in place, it's easier to maintain. When you're ad hoc, it's a little tougher to have your security compliance. So next steps, where we typically see is going through a process of working with your teams, discovering where you're at today, where you want to be. And through that, we can, lead you down some workshops to get you kind of a notion of what that would look like. And then from that, move into a scoping scenario. As Jose mentioned, every solution is adapted to your needs. And from that, it goes into a design phase, and then, providing a statement of work on delivery. And typically they're fairly quick because we have the structure and built out, so we can get you that pretty quickly, depending on where you're at in the stage. Again, some of you may have already gone down and experimented with in OpenShift or other container platforms, but we're basically customizing it to where you're at and what your needs are. And these are just some success stories that we just mentioned. Jose, I don't know if I know you were involved in a lot of these, but do you want to maybe just give a high level bullet point on each one of these success stories?
So we have selected these 3 success stories. Again, we are still working with these customers. One of the banks that I was mentioning earlier is one that they had gone through a lot of M&A, and they had acquired multiple banks, and now they had a variety of applications that they were all doing the same thing, and they needed to consolidate some of that applications into one or into a platform, and we built that for them. That's built on top of our core. So we have our core, and then we build customizations to support that custom-made business logic. The second experience that is a little bit different, that's a regional bank. When we are presenting this solution, don't think that this is super expensive or out of reach. In the second experience, the one that we have in the Pacific, we were able to reduce their overall cost by 85%. So what we proposed was 85% cheaper. Like we are running at 15% of what they were spending before. And they are perfectly happy with the solution. They don't have a cat in the wall. We are supporting that solution every day. We're looking for ways to improve cost efficiency over there. It's also true that we started from a very tall base, so it was not impossible to find these savings. The idea is that, again, we are not out of reach. Our price is reasonable. And the last one is we have, again, this is one that is still going, is a bank that is going through M&A. So we are helping them when they are evaluating new partners to see if they fit in the model. What do they take from their existing solutions? Can they run parallel to us? Like we have it running in OpenShift, but as we said, it's not a black box. You can take advantage of having that cluster so you can drop new solutions on top of it. So we are helping them to evaluate, can that solution run here? Can we help you to onboard it here? How will it run? What will I need? How will I communicate with that new third party or new partner? How do I add a new SD1 to be able to connect? All of those areas is things that we help. As you see, 3 very different experiences, 3 very different customers, all banks, all with common issues or common scenarios that we see through the industry. We have a lot more that we can share. And if you want to know more, again, sorry to say that, but please let us know and we will meet and we will explain everything that you want.
Yeah, and with that, let's see here, just some closing statements. If you want to engage with us, please reach out to this link right here, and we can get on a call, like Jose said, and kind of walk through what you need and do some clarification around this. Also, I want to say that this slide deck and recording will be sent out afterwards. I want to then also thank Red Hat for their continued partnership with us in this solution. And if I think that's it from what we have to present. Greatly appreciate your time this afternoon to join us in this webinar. Hopefully it resonated with you, and we look forward to hearing from you in the near future. Thanks, everyone.